This is the Transportation TV News Update. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting. The U.S. Department of Transportation calls it the Highway Trust Fund Ticker. It's a webpage dedicated to communicating the financial well-being of the Highway Trust Fund, or HTF. HTF funds pay for federal investments in highway and transit projects. In and out of financial turmoil for years, Congress stabilized the HTF last July when it provided an $8 billion cash infusion and extended spending authority through October 29th of this year. While spending authority expires at the end of October, the USDOT's ticker says the HTF will remain solvent through the third quarter of FY 2016, or sometime next summer.
It is good news. I mean, the more predictability that we have with the Highway Trust Fund, the longer that we can keep it solvent, the better off we are. But some folks are concerned that the additional time that the trust fund will stay solvent into next year takes some pressure off of Congress to not get a long-term reauthorization bill done before the end of the calendar year.
That's a big concern, says Jim Tymon, who heads the Policy and Business Management Division at the American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials.
Once we get into the spring or summer of next year, presidential politics will be in full swing. You'll be through most of the presidential primaries at that point, or at least most of the higher profile presidential primaries, and you won't see a lot of legislative work getting done here in Washington once you get into late spring and summer of next year.
The Senate has already acted, approving its multi-year transportation authorization bill last July on a 65-34 vote. The House has committed to passing its own long-term highway bill, perhaps as early as this fall. And now that lawmakers are back under the dome, all eyes are on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee.
Our understanding is that Chairman Schuster and Ranking Member DeFazio are working well together. They're trying to put the finishing touches on their version of a bill. And again, their schedule is to try to mark something up here in the month of September. And our understanding is that House leadership would love to see a transportation bill on the House floor sometime the end of September or the beginning of October.
Tymon says AASHTO is advocating for a long-term bill that addresses the HTF's long-standing funding issues. He says the HTF has a $15 billion funding gap. A lot more money goes out of the fund than goes in. So can Congress pass a long-term bill and give state DOTs the certainty to plan long-term projects?
If the House is able to get a bill off the House floor before the end of October, I think that's great progress. That would give the House and the Senate some time before the end of the calendar year to work out those differences and get a bill to the President's desk before January 1st. They'll still need to do another extension at the end of October, but at the very least, we're hopeful that a long-term 6-year surface transportation bill gets to the President's desk before the end of the calendar year.
So the clock is ticking, not just on the extension, which expires October 29th, but on the end of the calendar year, when presidential politics heats up. That's the Transportation TV News Update. I'm Tony Dorsey reporting.